You don't have to bring it up because after seeing the great, wonderful ceremony today, I want to speak from my heart about all that has happened. It took us about 2 3/4 years to document the 1,000+ structures over at the, we call it Kenotchett Site 6, off of Lawton Foster Road. Todd Carden, where is he? Todd, stand up. If not for Todd's willingness to go out on his own time when he wasn't working, to go to these places, because he's a naturalist by nature, an avid hiker, he'd find these places and he'd say, hey, we got a bunch of structures, let's go document them. So he coordinated with me. I live in Massachusetts. I come once a week from Rochester, Mass. It's a 150-mile round trip at no expense to anybody except myself. And why do I do that? Because I love what I do. And I got a great partner, and so it's a lot of fun. And of course, when you're retired, you have a lot of time on your hands. But also, there's something that goes deeper, and that's why I'm not going to do the planned presentation today. My grandmother, on my mother's side, was into history, so she was looking at her family tree and found out that we had 2 governors of Massachusetts on my mother's side. Hallelujah, Mayflower, oh man, this is great. So we went a little bit further. The first governor, Edward Winslow, a great man, had a great relationship with the Native Americans. They loved him, it was great. His son, Josiah Winslow, hated by the Narragansett tribe. The most hated man by the indigenous people. In fact, some have said that he is the reason that King Philip's War started. So how does that make me feel? It makes me feel pretty bad. You know, sure it's 400 years ago, but I feel that somehow, with Todd and myself, we're paying back a little bit of restitution to our Native brothers and sisters. And it's going to take a long time, as far as I'm concerned, of what we did, or what part of my family did, to the wonderful people of this area. So that's part of the reason why I do and we do what we do, with no complaints, without any bitching and moaning, because we feel that we have a debt, a personal debt to repay. And I think the Great Spirit will let me know when that debt is paid. But until then, we're going to go out, hopefully once a week, continue to document as many structures as possible, because if they're not documented, there's always a chance they're going to be destroyed. And thank God for the people in Hopkinton, Harvey Buford, Rick Prescott, and all the wonderful people in Hopkinton that got together and saved those 14 acres off of Lawton Foster Road. Because God knows, once they're gone, that's it. All the history, gone. So I'm grateful that I've been able to work with the town of Hopkinton. They asked us, can you help us out? My pleasure, and my humble heart to both Elaine and Doug. I'm at your service. We are at your service 24/7, 365. Whatever you need us to do, we will help you, because we owe you a great debt. You know, it doesn't matter whether if things happened 400 years ago or 25 minutes ago. If there were people in my background that did a disservice to the indigenous people, then it's now on my shoulders to help repay that debt in some way and somehow, and that's what we're going to do. But again, it took us about two years and 3/4 years, starting in 2013, to document the 1,024 structures off Lawton Foster Road. And we also documented about 150 structures on the Mr. and Mrs. Gray property. They allowed us to go on their property, and there's just structures all over the place. And you know, we were just honored and blessed, you know, to do that. And we take great pride because we know that we have in the state of Rhode Island, the state archaeologists, they will accept site reports, which means documented reports on file to be placed in Providence, Rhode Island, so that there's, you know, so that people, if they want to come take a look or request information, it's there. And so Todd and I, we go out, document these structures. We send all our information to James and Mary Gage, wonderful, wonderful people who take all of our information, all the pictures, all the measurements, all the GPS points, and commentary. They take all that information in email format, look at it, analyze it, make their comments, write up the report. A copy goes to the state, a copy goes to the Narragansett tribe, a copy goes to NERA, and we also get a copy. And we're always trying to find ways to make the information more accurate. And so that we know what we're looking at when we're in the field. We know what we're looking at, what we're documenting, but we want other people like yourselves, when you look at it, you will know its length, height, and width. You will know the GPS where it's located. So you'll have a good idea of what these structures look like from the beginning. So we have a wonderful relationship with James and Mary Gage, and I think it's all part of this big plan of the Great Spirit to help us repay that debt to your people, even though it's 400 years late. And my most humble apologies to the Narragansett tribe and its people for what members of my family have done or did in the past, and hopefully we can make some progress in that direction. I had asked Doug, well, I had a meeting with Doug's boss back in 2014, John Brown, the Tribal Preservation Officer, and I asked him about stone structures, and you alluded to that today at the ceremony. I said, John, what about all these stone structures here in New England? He says, Steve, our people have been working with stone for thousands and thousands of years. He said, when these people came over, most of this stuff was here. So being the opportunists we co-opted. You know, why build a pen that already has 2 walls in it? You just add to it. So they co-opted a lot of the stonework that was here. Now, that's not to say that the colonists didn't build stone walls, but there was about, 150 years that they had, 150 years that they actually built stone wall, but they could not build thousands and thousands of miles of stone walled in 100 to 150 years. So they co-opted a lot of the structures that were already here. And what we've learned from all the information, it seems to be that academics want to think that everything in stone is field clearing. And I just want to tell you, Todd and I, in 6 years that we've been together in the field, have seen about 6 times, 6 places, where there was an abundance of stone, maybe at the end of a field at one time, or between where 2 stone walls meet. 6 times. And to date, as of today, we've documented 7,658 structures in and around Rhode Island. So you say, well, why document so many structures? The purpose is the more evidence that you have, the better able you are to determine what is field clearing and what is indigenous stone creative work or artwork or spirit work. And that's what we're trying to do. And most of the evidence lends itself toward indigenous stonework. And as Doug alluded to, for the purposes that he explained, we don't know all the reasons why they build stone structures the way that they do, but I know from history, they would put a stone in a pile as they would pass a certain point. Maybe this was a donation to the Great Spirit for another day of life. Maybe it was a remembrance of somebody maybe that passed away. Maybe there was somebody that died. So we don't know exactly, and I'm not going to tell the Narragansett people what these structures mean, nor are the academics going to try to tell Doug Harris and Elaine Thomas what these structures are, which they try to do, but that's just that mentality that still exists. Today it's rules, regulations, jawboning, arm rigging, whatever, whereas 400 years ago it was bullets and guns and violence. So it's the same kind of intimidation in a way as it was 400 years ago. I don't think much has changed, but it is changing, for the better. And I can remember you sent me, Doug, an email about 3 years ago because you know how rumor starts. Somebody says, well, you know what, the native tribes, they're going to take your land if you have structures on your land. Oh, be careful, man, you better sell your land. Well, I'd asked you that, and you wonderfully sent me an email, and if I could read that from you, that'd be all right? Okay. This is what Doug said. He says, it is our policy to support private landholders in being good stewards of these ancient cultural resources. Our office is available to offer preservation advice and assistance to landholders who seek to improve their abilities as cultural resource stewards. We are aware of landholder gossip, that's what it is, gossip, about the presumed, quote, powers of the tribes, but we have no ability to, quote, take, unquote, the land of anyone who has a ceremonial stone landscape within their holdings. Good luck with your work. If I can assist, or if the land holder would like to meet, it would be my honor to discuss your findings with them. So understand, if you have something on your property and you think it might be Native American, then don't plow it under, please. Call somebody, we'll come down, I'll come down, Todd will come down, we'll take a look at it, we'll document it, and so that it's, so that it is documented. But you can do whatever you want with your property, whatever you think is the right thing to do. But don't think for any minute that the tribes, if they find out, they're going to be knocking at your door the next day with an eviction notice. It's not going to happen. So I just wanted to get that up. And also, James and Mary Gage have been with us for almost these past 6 years, willingly taking our information, because we had nobody to send it to until we contacted them. They said, oh yeah, come on, yeah, send us that stuff. We really enjoyed it. So we've had a good relationship and a continued relationship with them, and we're honored to be working with them. We're honored to be working with anybody that wants to save stone structures in Rhode Island. And like I said, I come from Massachusetts, and you know what? It doesn't cost anybody a dime. Nothing. Nobody. I'm not looking for a handout. I'm not looking for sympathy. I do it because I feel, number one, I have a debt to repay, and two, I enjoy what I do, and three, I have a great partner who helps me do this job, and I'm willing to work with anybody at any time for any reason, and for no cash, nothing, no money. So that's about all I have to say, and just thank you again. Thank you so much. I'm blessed and honored to be able to help you out, the tribes, in any way that I can. Thanks again.
And now we'll hear from Marilyn Grant, who is all the way back there, but getting closer with every step.